Okay, it's now 3 o'clock, so I want to declare this meeting of the Board of Directors regular meeting for Tuesday, February 22nd, 22. I declare it open. Call to order.
How about that? 2/22/22.
Yeah, it's great. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your hand over your heart and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Nancy, do you have any words?
Yeah, I'll say the one that we usually say. We ask the Heavenly Father in thy infinite wisdom to guide the members of this board in such a way that all their thoughts, endeavors, and decisions will be made for the betterment of the entire community. We also beseech thee to protect our country and our people from all conflicts, foreign and domestic. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. We have a roll call, please.
Director Grasha.
Here.
Director Sewell.
Here.
Director Duncan.
Here.
Vice President Wright.
Here.
President Martin.
Here.
Thank you. We have quorum.
Council, would you present the rules of procedure, please?
Yes, according to the rules of procedure adopted by the Board of Directors, all notice meetings are conducted using Rosenberg's Rules of Order as a procedural guideline. Directors should refrain from responding directly to public comments at meetings of the board. The president is responsible for the maintenance of order and decorum at all board meetings. No person should be allowed to speak who has not first been recognized by the president. No member of the board should speak more than once upon any one subject until every other member of the board wishing to speak on the subject shall have been given the opportunity to speak. No board member shall interfere with the orderly progress of a board meeting. The board president regulates the amount of time to be dedicated to a particular agenda item.
There it goes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Under public input, are there any members of the public that wish to address the board on an issue that is not on the agenda?
Mr. President, Ashley Metzger from DWA is here to provide an update on their redistricting.
I could just barely hear you.
Ashley Metzger with DWA is here to provide an update on their redistricting process.
Okay.
Thank you, President Martin and members of the board and public. I just wanted to give you a quick update. We have conducted our public workshops, and we do anticipate discussing this issue at our March 1st board meeting, including any additional new public maps. We will have a new DWA map posted to our website before that meeting as well. So we anticipate having at least 5 map options on the table, and certainly welcome any more that the public provide in the interim. And all of these updates can be found at www.dwa.org/divisions. That'll do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Any other public comments?
No, Mr. President.
Okay. Item 6, COVID update.
I guess you had a great report from Brian on Thursday, so I don't have anything additional except for one bit of good news, and that is that, well, the mask mandate is no longer in place, which I guess it wasn't Thursday either, right?
Yeah.
Since the 15th.
So, we have no individuals out because of COVID. So we're fully attending, and it looks like good news. The numbers are dropping. I just got a notice with my wife this morning, although had nothing to do with that, but she informed me that the numbers are down. But I think we all need to be careful. I was expecting a bit of a climb after the Super Bowl, but it didn't happen. So everything seems to be fine. And
Okay.
I don't know if you have any more questions.
Okay. Any questions?
No.
Okay. Human Resources Report, item 7. Are any of the individuals online right now that are being honored here today? We have Adrian Perea,
Brian,
Field Operator Technician 1 is a new hire. Brian Hendry, Accounting Manager, and Eric Weck, Engineering Manager. Those are all new hires. On anniversary, Michael Platt, Engineering Technician number 1. He's been here 1 year. Christopher Shanahan, Water Production Operator 2, 2 years. Rita Huber, Senior Accounting Technician, 4 years. Sierra Boyle, Customer Service Representative 2, 5 years. Oriana Haupert, Human Resources Manager, 5 years. I would have thought she's been here longer than that, but okay. Chris Jacobson, Wastewater Treatment Plant Operator, 18 years. We have no promotions. We have 1 certification, educational accomplishments. Robert Lopez, Certificate Program in Purchasing.
all right.
Are any of those people here today on?
Yeah, well, I'll go through and give you
Okay.
a background and we'll make some comments on
Okay.
each and every one of them, if you don't mind. Take
No,
the
go ahead.
time. This is once again, the time I really think this is wonderful that you take the time to listen to these accomplishments of our staff. We have a very talented staff and you'll see that even more exemplified today. Once again, this is a time when I get to talk about our dedicated staff. I like to use that word, and loyal MSWD employees. But first, I'd like to introduce the 3 new hires that have just joined us, and we're very excited about these new hires that joined us in the month of January. The first one is Adrian Perea. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's new, but we're excited. Comes with a lot of qualifications. He will be the Field Operations Technician 1. And he's experienced in constructing and installing underground water and sewer pipes. He's worked in local projects, including the water line replacement at Desert Willows, which gives us some idea of what he can do. He's a boom lift and scissor lift certified operator and has been through the Cal OSHA 30 training program, which teaches construction and general industry workers how to navigate the workplace and safety issues. And I'm assuming that Jeff is here, his supervisor. Did you like to add anything new to that, Jeff?
No, you covered it pretty well, Arden. But I'd like to add that he's been doing a fantastic job for us. He hit the ground running, and so far there hasn't been one task that Adrian hasn't been able to accomplish. And we're very excited for his future here with MSWD. He is here. You can see him in the background. And we welcome him aboard.
Welcome aboard, Adrian.
Thank you.
You can speak now if you want to, but most people don't say anything.
So nervous. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you guys for the opportunity, and I'm really excited for the new future for me here. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And you've joined a really good team here. So welcome aboard.
Thank you, Arden.
Thank you.
Next is Brian Hendry. And he's our accounting manager, comes to us with, again, another well-qualified employee who he came from Borrego Community Health Foundation, which you've all heard of. That's where Manny was working. Byron holds 2 bachelor's degrees in business administration and economics, and is also a certified public accountant. And he's already making a real impact. I might also add, he made a real impact at the Food Now golf. Oh, no, I like to say fundraiser. Okay. We had a lot of fun, and I got to know Brian, and it was really fun. It's Brian with a Y too, and I don't know if, in case you want to know, but I don't refer to him as that, just Brian H. Okay, he prefers that. And he's already making a real impact in accounting, in the accounting department. He's helping with our W-2 reporting process and setting up some new payroll tax tables. And Arturo is on leave today, but I would like to let Brian make a comment or two. He's extremely interesting and articulate. You got anything you would like to say, Brian? Are you there? Okay.
He's on the line. Brian Hendry?
Brian?
Well, yes, I'm here. I'm sorry. I was holding down the space bar and I was in Word at the time. And I think the president was right. If you're not in the Zoom program, the holding down the space bar doesn't work because all it did was mess up my notes. So anyway, I'm very honored to have been selected as the accounting manager. I must say it was one of the most difficult or thorough selection and onboarding processes that I've ever been through. And I've worked here 33 working days. And I can tell you, we've got the best HR department that I think I've ever seen, even though it's only one person. I'm very happy to have Arturo as my supervisor. You know, he's been here for so long, and I know he wants me to succeed, and you know, he's very patient, and I think he'll get me there in short order. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks for being a member of this team, Brian.
You bet.
And he is a very good golfer. Just in case you wanted to know. And you really are going to be impressed today because we are bringing some really qualified people on board again, which has kind of been our effort over the last few years, and it's showing up. Now with about 70 million plus in construction projects, major construction projects, it's time for us to get on board. Besides Brian and myself, who are engineers, we have a new engineer with a blend of education that is really helpful for this big project, especially the regional plant. Let me see, on January 10th, the district welcomes Eric Weck, who is our new engineering manager. And just talking to him when we did the right fit was enjoyable. And I've worked out a couple problems with him. Really, really good person to work with. Eric comes to us with more than 10 years of experience. He is a civil engineer. He holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering and an MBA with an emphasis in finance, and is also a professional engineer, which is a tough license to get. Eric held similar positions at the cities of Indio, Redlands, and most recently Grand Terrace. We expect Eric to play a critical role in developing our new water reclamation facility, like I said, and we were pleased to have him part of our team. And he's professional and really fun to work with. And so I'm going to let Brian have a couple words there because Brian did know Eric before.
Yes, General Manager, thank you very much. I did have the pleasure of maybe not working directly with Eric, but I worked alongside him. We were both at the City of Indio for, I believe, 5 or 6 years, and it was fantastic to see his name pop up when we were doing the interview process and looking at trying to find someone to fill this position. Eric's done a fantastic job for the last 30 odd days, and I'm just glad to have him here, and he's going to do great things. So very excited.
And with that said, Eric, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, I would. General Manager and Assistant General Manager, I appreciate the kind words, and I will not let you down. Unfortunately, I am not a good golfer as Brian Hendry is, but I nonetheless give it a good shot. I appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to getting my hands dirty and getting that wastewater treatment plant up and running, as well as the administration building. I think there's a lot of great things on the horizon for MSWD, and I am truly blessed and honored to be a part of it. Thank you both, and thank you all to the board, and thank you to the staff of MSWD. Every one of you has been professional, and I appreciate your kindness. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. And my only response to the comment about golf is that, okay, your boss makes up for it. He's a really good golfer too. So, I mean, for the record. Okay. Now we move on to the anniversaries, which it's really good to stop and recognize these employees. And these are all really, really good employees. We get the privilege of honoring these anniversaries, and together they represent more than 33 years of service to the district. And I'll start out with somebody that's been here as long as me, but you didn't come on board much before I did, Michael. He's our new engineering technician. Mike helps with the design and construction of the district structures. He knows the facilities as well as anybody, and reviews maps and plans and performance with the district engineering documents. While he is officially celebrating his first anniversary, Mike has really assisted the district on a consultant's role for the last 18 years. He has an in-depth understanding of our system, and his knowledge is great. Fun to work with. He's a registered land surveyor. And I'm going to let Eric have his first supervisor's comments here.
Thank you, sir. Mike Platt has been serving Mission Springs Water District for over a year and over that time as a consultant, and provides essential benefit to the Engineering Services Department. Now, during his day, Mike is responsible for a multitude of things that encompass performing necessary inspections for MSWD conformance. He provides conditions of approval for both residential and commercial developments. He quickly reviews and accurately reviews plan checks, provides fire flow reports, will serve letters, works with water and sewer models to provide what-if scenarios, and fields 10 to 15 daily research requests for information a day. Mike brings great value to the engineering department, and we are all so very happy to have him on the MSWD team and look forward to his continued service to the district.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Mike, would you like to say anything? Oh, he might not be with us. Okay. I can say that the other thing about Michael Platt is that he is very involved in the community. Very. And he's been that way ever since I've known him.
Little League especially.
Little League, everything. He's totally involved, well-known and well-respected, and I appreciate that. And my compliments to Mike. All right, next, there is a special place in my heart for Rita. We both air from the same neck of the woods. We are Midwestern, farm children, sort of, so to speak. We want to honor today Rita Huber. She's celebrating her 4th year at the district as a senior accounting technician. She's responsible for preparing and maintaining financial records and reports for various district accounts and funds. She also serves as a department liaison, helping others understand accounting documents and financial reports. Very competent, quick-witted, and very knowledgeable, and keeps us all on our toes. And every time I see her in the hall, I just love to share stories. And she is recently a new grandmother, or again, or whatever. So with that, Brian, do you want to introduce Rita and say a few words?
Yes, thank you, General Manager. This is Brian Hendry again, Accounting Manager. And, I've only worked with Rita, 1 month really. The nice thing about having somebody with 6 years or 4 years of experience with MSWD, plus she had extensive accounting experience prior to coming to the district. It makes my job so much easier. So all I really have to do is worry about learning everything, because everything's getting done by Rita and Claudia and of course Arturo and Aunt Anna. So in addition to what you said, she also every month does the bank reconciliations, and they're not easy. A lot of transactions running through. She does all the month-end journal entries. It's really an accounting level work that she does. You did mention that she works with the other departments. I've seen what she's been able to do with cash receipts, and making sure that cash receipts and disbursements are properly coded. So she has to work with the front office and with the engineering department to make sure that the job numbers and everything is correct. And we appreciate, I appreciate Rita very much, and I thank her. And I don't believe she is ready to make any remarks at this time, but I'll turn the floor back over to General Manager Arden.
Okay, thank you. And again, it is very enjoyable working with Rita, and she is so competent, and we are lucky to have her. And so I assume that Rita is not going to make any comments.
She's not on the line.
Okay, all right. Well, then let's move on to another special employee. That employee is Sierra Boyle, who I visit with on a daily basis. And she's with the customer service department. She's a customer service representative too. And who you may remember completed her bachelor's degree in communications. Day in and day out, Sierra and her coworkers assist our customers and ensure that they have the information that they need to do business with the district and to do it successfully. Sarah is a joy to have in the office and is also a member of our award-winning float committee. And I do kid around with her almost every day when I go up there. So with that said, I'm going to let April have a few comments there, if you don't mind. April?
Thank you, General Manager, and hi, members of the board. Sierra has, like you said, been with us for 5 years. She has done a wonderful job. She communicates with our customers and has built many relationships. Customers seek her out individually consistently. She's helped solve problems and really helped us get through a lot of program changes over the past few years. So we really appreciate Sierra, and we're very proud of her accomplishments. And I do not believe she wanted to speak today.
All right. Thanks, Sierra, for being here. All right. With that, then we will move on to another wonderful, wonderful employee. And I can't believe this is 5 years either. But I get to sing the praises for our human resources manager. And I cannot tell you how competent she is in that role. And she is the perfect person. She has the overall intelligence and the communication skills to work in that position so successfully. And I don't know if she was conveniently on vacation this week or not, but she's enjoying she went south this week and to be with her family. But all kidding aside, Oriana deserves a vacation after the work she has done to guide the district through the COVID-19 pandemic. Just think of how difficult that was. And it still remains difficult. We had to be sure we would adhere to the various OSHA and state protocols and the mandates while always looking out for the safety of our employees. But she has a wonderful way of communicating with the employees, and she sticks to the business. I just can't say enough good things about Oriana. She started with the district 5 years ago. She has reshaped our human resources department. It's very professional now. Our hiring and evaluation and appreciation and discipline programs. You've heard several people compliment the district on the hiring process. It is enhanced and it's working out much better. We're getting the absolute best employees we can. So I want to say thanks. She's doing an amazing job. And since she does work directly for me and she is not here, I think that is it. So,
Okay.
all right, we're going to move on to another person that was here when I got here too, 18 years ago, about the same time. And that is Chris Jacobson, who's celebrating his 18 years. He's a very valued member of the wastewater treatment plant. And throughout the 18 years, Chris has shown tremendous leadership, helping to mentor junior operators and providing training and to other operators and helping them improve with their skills. He routinely provides feedback for day-to-day operation and has been told that he has experience with almost, and I have been told that he has experience with almost every plant job there is. And that's the kind of person you want out there. I think Lee is here to make a comment.
Yeah, I am here. Thank you, General Manager. Chris and I have worked closely for many years. He was my right hand. Now he's just my left hand, and Andy's moved into the right hand position. But I thank Chris. He provides to us. He's not shy about providing feedback. That's for sure. He just said that. That's why I was laughing just a minute ago. But yeah, I appreciate everything Chris has done for us over the years and what you'll do for us until he retires from here. So Chris is going to say a few words and he thanks you. I thank you. Chris?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm looking at my ID badge picture up there thinking when I turned in my old one, I looked so much younger. I've been here for 18 years. It's I want to say a joy for most of it. Some of it's been really hard, but I really am appreciative to the opportunity the district has afforded me, and I've learned so much while I'm here that I get to take home and use elsewhere in my life. It's just been a joy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks for being on part of the team for such a long period of time. And I don't know how to do this. I wish I would have Robert Lopez, who is our next individual who has an accomplishment we want to, or he wants to share with us. But I also think that he would look a little different in his first picture, what we took of him 18 years ago, or no, how long ago? I'm not sure, but it wasn't quite that long, maybe. We want to recognize Robert. We just love talking to him when he comes through the office. He's a purchasing and warehouse specialist who has recently earned a certificate in purchasing from Cal State Dominguez Hills. This certificate is a broad understanding of purchasing and procurement, which is much more complicated than you might think. He has looked into management principles with practical training taught by leading professionals currently employed in this purchasing field. During these studies, Robert has learned about cost price analysis, negotiation, public sector procurement, legal and regulatory considerations, standardization, supply, ethical issues, and logistics. We're very proud to have Robert and his accomplishments, and we look forward to seeing him apply his new skills. And he's very proud of his kids and his grandkids, I might say, which are new since he's been here. But I hope he's online and says a few words. Are you here, Robert?
Yes, I'm here.
Please comment.
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you very much to the district for giving us the opportunity to continue our education. I'm very grateful for that, and I'm hoping to be able to use everything that I've learned and apply it to the position. And in regards to the photo, yeah, I think most of that gray came in regards to this course. It was pretty tough. I haven't done any education like this in about 30 years, so it was it was something new. But I did have a lot of help from my coworkers. If I had my assignments and I had some questions, nobody hesitated to help, and that just makes it so much easier. A couple employees that aren't here no more helped me out a lot was Victoria Lauret and Matt McHugh. But also current that are still here, Danny Fran, Amanda Lucas, Masam Alzamar, Jeff Nutter, Arturo Ceja, and I know I'm forgetting a few because I've asked so many different people, different aspects, different questions in regards to some of my assignments. But it made it easier. It took me a few years, but I got to it, and I'm just very, very grateful for everything that the district does provide for me and my family. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. We're proud to have you as part of this team. And
Yeah, before you go on, I want to point out, Mr. General Manager, that we all look different now than we did 18 years ago. Okay.
Wasn't I all white when I came to work here? I thought I was. Okay. All right, Robert, you're off the hook. Thank you. That concludes the report. And I genuinely appreciate all of these employees and commend them for their progress and dedication and commitment. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, is there anybody from the board who want to address the human resources report?
No, just thank you, everybody that was on that, new hirees, anniversaries, promotions, and certificates. Thank you.
Yes.
I'll second that.
Ivan
All third.
and Randy?
You seconded
You
it.
seconded.
Yeah, I seconded
Okay,
Nancy's.
great. Mr. Grasha?
Just congratulations to everybody. I saw a few familiar faces and names and some new ones, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to meeting each of you, the new guys, and thank you to the guys that have been here a while and keep this thing traveling in the right direction, even though sometimes there's some headwinds from different directions that we wish we could avoid, but somehow always seems to try to push us off course. So congratulations to everybody.
Okay, moving on to the action items. Item number 8, we took care of on Thursday. So we'll be moving on to the public hearing, number 2, on redistricting. This is the time and place fixed to solicit the public's input in respect to the process for adjustment of division boundaries. The purpose of public hearing number 2 is to allow public input on the communities and principles it should consider during the mapping process. The public hearing will be declared open and legal counsel will give their report. I will then call for comments from the public. During this time, there will be no back and forth conversation between the public and the board and staff. All questions will be noted and will be addressed after all public comments have been received. The public hearing will then be closed and the board may have a discussion if necessary. I declare this public hearing open. Secretary's report, please.
Notice of public hearing was posted to the Desert Sun on February 4th and February 11th, 2022. Additionally, public outreach campaigns, both paid and unpaid, were made on all of MSWD's social media channels, notifying the public of today's hearing. As of this afternoon, there have been no comments or protests on this item.
Okay, next on the agenda is a staff report from Misty Calder from our law firm SBEMP.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. President, Madam Vice President, members of the board. As you know, the Mission Springs Water District's in the process of redrawing their district lines to reflect the local populations that have changed based on the census information. And on December 20th, the board conducted a first public hearing to provide public input for the adjustment of the division boundaries. And there's a requirement for 2 of those. And once we receive those public comments, the board's demographer, David Eli, came up with 2 map options that will comply with California and federal law. And the board has had an opportunity to look at those maps at a study session, I believe last Thursday. And today is the second public hearing for the redistricting process. And David is joining us also this afternoon to review the two map options and go over the demographic details of those maps. And then following today's public hearing, the board is requested to approve one of those two map options, which will also have over Zoom on the that you can actually look at over Zoom. But there, I believe it's also attached as Exhibit B to your staff report. So if there's any additional revisions to those proposed maps that need to be done, we're going to have a subsequent public hearing. Will be scheduled to review and approve the final map. But if there are no revisions necessary, staff will return to a board meeting on March 21st with an ordinance finalizing the adoption of the final map. Unless you have any questions, I'm going to hand it over to David Eli to go over the two map options. Thanks.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Director Gracia, any questions?
Oh, are we going to address the maps today, or what are we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, David Eli is going to go through both of those maps and kind of go through the whole demographic details of both of those to help you just get a better idea of them. But yes, absolutely, we're going over the maps today.
Okay.
Okay. Director Duncan, do you have any comments?
No, not yet. Thank you.
Okay.
David, are you on the line?
Yes. I will share my screen so that we can see what I'm talking about. I want to start with the existing map and the population deviations that we have there. So the law allows us to have a 10% difference between the most populous and the least populous district. And if you look at the deviations that we have here, District 5 is almost 11% under the ideal population. District 2 is 6% over. District 3 is 4.5% over. Districts 1 and 4 are almost exactly perfect. And so the options that we're looking at will try basically in a minimal sort of way to correct the population deviations, especially between districts 2 and 5. Let me share a different screen. In our option 1, we make sort of minimal changes to bring the total deviation, the overall deviation, down to 8% by making changes just between districts 2 and 5. And let me see if I can. Sorry, the controls here are hiding what I'm trying to look at. So option 1 changes this small area that is between Two Bunch Palms Trail and I believe it's 13th Avenue. And if we look at District 1 doesn't change. District 2 changes in that it gives up this area that is south of 13th Avenue. District 3 doesn't change. District 4 doesn't change. District 5 picks up the area that was from District 2. And so that is the only change. When we look at the data for option 1, we have currently 2 districts that are majority Latino. Overall, in terms of overall population, in terms of citizen voting age population, we have one that's over 50% and one that is about at 46%. When I also looked at the registered voters and people who actually voted from the November 2020 election, looking at those who have Spanish surnames, which is often used as a proxy for Latino participation. So we have, again, the two districts, 4 and 5, that are both over 50% in terms of Spanish surname registered voters and in terms of people who actually voted in the two elections. So we have no concerns about potential vote dilution or voting rights problems. Option 2 makes slightly greater changes, and it makes changes to districts 2, 5, and 3. So District 2 gives up a part of the same area that it did there between Two Bunch Palms Trail and 13th Avenue, but does not give up a section that is on the western or the eastern portion of that. I'm sorry. District 3 gives up a small area that well, we'll be able to see that better on District 5. District 4 is unchanged. So District 5, as we said, we picked up this area from District 2, and then this small area that is across Bubbling Wells Road, a small little area there from District 3. And if we look at the data for option 2, we've brought the overall deviation down to 4%. And everything in terms of the demographics is basically the same overall as the other option. So that is basically the information that I have. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Before we go on to the, does that conclude your report?
Yes.
Okay, before we go on to that, I want to afford the opportunity for the public to weigh in on what you're just on your presentation. Are there any members of the public present, Dory?
Yes, sir, there are. They joined us during the employee recognition.
I'm sorry, I can just barely hear you.
Yes, sir, there are. They joined us during employee recognition. Russell Betts is on the line. Mr. Betts, do you care to make public comment?
I have no comment to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Merritt, are you here to make public comment?
Thank you. No comment at this time. Very interesting. Appreciate your hard work at pulling all these maps together.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, that will conclude any members of the public.
Okay. Is there any questions from the board?
Not I.
Any comments or questions from the board?
None for me.
I have a general question about the boundary on one little spot. And if Mr. Eli wants to bring up his map again, I'll try to guide his cursor through his magical hand to where that spot is, and maybe he can explain what how certain he is that that's not within our district boundaries, if you'll allow that.
Which is it? One particular option you want to look at? Or?
Not maybe the one with all of them together, and then see how hard this is going to be. right there. Okay, now if you go down and look at District 3, the pink, and you go down where that indentation is, a white area. That area right there where your cursor is, exactly right there, is apparently not at in the Mission Springs Water District. Now, my understanding is that Mission Lakes or Mission Springs Water District lies wholly within the boundaries of the Desert Water Agency. Now, I used to live down in that area in another block, if you will, and that was Coachella Valley Water District. So I have been under the assumption that all this white area was Coachella Valley Water District. But in looking at the map from, and Ashley, if you're still there and paying attention, you might want to look at this yourself. That's in the Desert Water Agency, but not in our district. And I haven't, of course, looked at the Coachella Valley Water District maps. And why this is important to me is it's a little confusing to, if that in fact is not part of our water district. Why isn't it? And when? Because I was always under the impression that that entire area that is white was Coachella Valley Water District, but it's on the DWA map, it's showing that as in the Desert Water Agency boundaries. Maybe somebody could explain that, if that makes sense. It makes sense to me, so I hope it.
Yes, General Manager, do you have any input on that issue?
That, you know,
that's the Golden Sands RV resort, and in case somebody's wondering what I'm talking about.
Do we have any customers in that area?
The Golden Sands or the Sands?
The Sands, yeah. I don't know what. Yeah, Sands RV Resort and Golf. It's a golf.
That golf course, the golf course from what I believe is
that's in our
CDWD, but I think the park is us, if I'm not mistaken. There's
Well-
something weird happening in that one too. I guess.
Yeah. Could you guys get to the bottom of that? Because that there is a census line that goes through the middle of it. And it's important for me anyway to understand why it's.
I think that long time ago, Arden, I think I remember something about that. The golf course versus the RV or I guess it's an
Right.
RV.
Yes, we've talked to LAFCO about it. LAFCO, I think, still considers that at least part of that. It also doesn't show the area where these maps might not be perfectly.
Well, that's what I'm worried about. I want you guys to get to the bottom of it, because the DWA has that in their map and we don't, and it's important that we figure out how off our maps are, because
yeah, we'll check it out. I mean, we're not going to.
I get it.
This is a LAFCO issue.
Well, it's
We'll check it
or is it something else? And that's, it's just a matter of why does DWA see it one way and why are we looking at it another? I'd like that connection to be made so that we're confident. Okay, that's it.
Okay, I have a question for the benefit of the public. Could you address I believe it's, what's your jurisdiction? Which just division?
One.
On division 1, bring up that map. The area commonly referred to as the diving board. Why isn't, for the benefit of the public, why isn't that included in the
In our district.
in our district, in our water district?
Thank you. I meant to ask that question. I was thinking about it. No, the
Diving board,
the diving board one and those little stops. That's a very good. Oh, go over the other way to the map. There you go. These two, the diving board and Bonnie Bell is not in it. I know that. And that's the Whitewater Preserve, correct? And that's not in, that's kind of a cutout thing.
Both of those, we don't have them as part of our district.
I know. The question is why?
They opted out.
The residents that live there
If
opted
there's
out?
talking down there, we can't hear you. Please turn on your mics.
Both of this area and even this little strip is an SCE property that they have along the power lines, and we don't know. At some point, we could try to clean that up when LAFCO goes through its process. We can address that. But right now, these areas, I guess they were included, and this is all part of a history that it seems a little confusing. Not much information is available there, but we've always shown these areas as not ever annexing into our district. However, Desert Water Agency shows them as being annexed into their wholesale area, which is the area that parallels our district. And that's why this area, this open area that Mr. Gracia is focusing on is, I think the retail area for that service is by Coachella Valley Water District. Yet DWA has it included in their wholesale boundaries. We haven't really pursued that. We will have to do that. We'll do some research and find out what the story is on it. But the only thing I've ever been told is that this community and these areas, these islands, are areas where they decided not to be annexed into our district.
Well, I don't recall that there's, are there any residences that live in those two areas?
Bonnie
Bonnie Hill, but how about the diving board?
Well, if that's the preserved, maybe some of the rangers, there's places for the rangers to stay up there.
So I would
I would-
question who had the authority not to say that they weren't going to be included if there's really no one living there. But on Bonnie Bell,
Yeah, there's a few homes up going up
Okay.
Whitewater Canyon.
it's not a big deal. I was just curious. It always struck me as kind of odd of why those two areas were not included in our.
Yeah, I knew
All I
Whitewater
can
Canyon.
share with you is I asked the same question, and when they do a survey and they look at their sphere of influence, at that point, they show up and nobody's ever
I
objected.
think they're all on wells out there too, their own wells. So I don't
Yeah.
think there's any service.
I
that's needed.
No, we don't have any service in
Yeah.
those areas. Yes,
Okay.
that is correct.
And looking at that area you're talking about, my assumption was that Coachella Valley Water District wanted control over it, and that was why it was left out during the negotiations years and years ago when they started developing an interest in recharge out at Whitewater. And so that was a giant assumption that I made, but it made sense to me that they would win that argument at a with the county when they were dividing it all up. And we were at one time part of Division 1 at CVWD, the entirety of Desert Water Agency and MSWD. It was all represented by Alva Hicks, who owned the Palm Springs Water Company back in the 30s and 40s till he died, a car accident in 1952. So who knows how it all worked out. But that RV park, well, I was headed out there to buy it, and it turned out I can't because it's not in our district. So I was like, well, almost got caught.
Okay. Any other questions or comments or discussion from the board?
No.
Okay. With that, the public hearing is closed. No vote is required today on this item. So we'll move on the agenda to item 10. Award the on-call well and booster maintenance and repair services contracts with Southwest Pump and Drilling, Inc., Legend Pump and Well Services, Inc., and L.O. Lynch Quality Wells and Pumps, Inc. It is recommended to authorize the general manager to award and do all things necessary to complete the on-call booster and well maintenance and repair services contract for the contractors listed above. Anything further from the general manager?
I don't have anything scripted, and I think Brian did a pretty good job on Thursday presenting it. I don't know if you have any questions. The thing I can tell you is that we need to start enhancing our work at these well sites. When I started this industry, you could drill a well for around $1 million. Now that well is $3.5 million. And so with that goes the rehab and maintenance, which we need to do periodically. And granted, sometimes organizations, every organization, CVWD, DWA, everybody has times when you delay some of this maintenance. We can't do that anymore. You know what damage can be done if we have part of our system break down. And this is part of our effort to say we are in the financial condition now where we can do this preventative maintenance. These are and what we need to have a process where we don't know if any one of these people can be available on a minute's notice. And so this is the way we would procure those services if we needed it.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments from the board? Nancy?
No.
Ivan? Mr. Grosha?
No questions. Thank you.
Randy?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve. What is it? The number 10.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Could we have a roll call vote, please?
Director Grasha,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Director Duncan,
Yes.
Vice President Wright,
Aye.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Mr. President, we jumped into that item rather quickly, and I'm not sure if we got clear direction on which of the maps that you wanted brought on the districting issue that the board wanted brought back in the March meeting.
Well, that would require us to select a preference. Is that correct?
Well, yes, if we could get some feedback from the board on the preference of which map you prefer, then we'll prepare an ordinance that would be consistent with that. At your
Yeah,
March
because even on my worksheet here, it says that there will be no vote required on this item today.
It's just direction at
Okay.
this point.
So the two maps are different, is what you're saying. Option one
Option
and
one and two. The
are
two
different at
differences-
that little point down.
Yeah, either that bigger section or the two smaller sections.
I think it's not going to, just find out what you can about that and bring it all back.
Well, but we would
would
need
do-
to have another hearing then when we presented.
Oh,
the,
this hearing is
the
just on
maps.
those two maps. Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying? There'll be
hearing.
no hearing at the next one.
Yeah, and but you haven't requested any changes. So I'm thinking I was under the impression that if we didn't request any changes to the maps, then it was merely a decision that we made in March. Can you clarify that, John, for me?
I think we'd just like some feedback from the board in terms of which of the maps they prefer.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a poll here. Vice President Wright.
Since my district isn't changed at all, I'll let you guys, whatever you guys want to do. I don't have any preference. I would like to see that little part that Mr. Grasha was talking about being, let us know what's going on there, because it could be if the RV park is in our district, that would make a difference maybe. So I don't know.
We'll check. And I think.
Ivan, any preference from you?
Yeah, I lean towards option 2. It just has the lower overall deviation. I think getting as close to even between the 5 districts is our best option.
I thought option 1 had a couple of the districts didn't have any changes at all.
They
Neither
don't
did
on any of
2.
them, right?
I believe option 1, district 2 and 5 changed.
Oh, okay.
Option 2, district 2, 3, and 5 changed. And the overall deviation is lowest for the option 2 maps.
Was it one 8% and one 4%?
Yeah, option 2 is 4%.
Mine didn't change at all, correct?
Yeah, no.
No, I didn't think so.
Director Duncan, any preference?
Yeah, if I remember right, Ivan was right. Option 2 had the closest to par across the 5 divisions. I think we're calling them rather than districts. So I would lean towards option 2.
Okay. Director Gracia, any preference?
It seems as far as the 5 directors go, everybody stands pat, and as a result of that, I'll let the mathematician figure it out. With that. Thanks.
Okay. And
Okay.
my preference would have been either one of them, but I would be happy with option 2.
Yeah, sure, I'm fine with that too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is that enough direction?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right, then moving on to, let's see. Did we take a vote on item 10?
Yes, 10 we voted on.
We voted on that. Okay. Moving on to discussion items. Item 11, Mission Springs Water District Regional Water Reclamation Facility update.
We'll have a quick update from Mr. Steve Ledbetter.
Oh, we know there's no such thing as a quick update. Hi, Steve.
Good afternoon, Director Martin. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good.
I'll keep it short today.
Okay.
I do have an update on the 4 different components for the regional plant program. First off, with the treatment plant itself, we hosted our pre-construction meeting with JF Shea last month. Went over everything we needed to get the project set up to move forward with construction. Construction is still on schedule to basically break ground next month in March. As of today, we've gotten a little over 30 RFIs and 50 submittals. And that's really where the brunt of the work is now leading into the actual construction, is making sure that we have any questions regarding the design ironed out before we actually start construction, as well as a lot of the equipment. There's a lot of concerns on the contractor side with the market volatility and the delays with procuring different pieces of equipment, that we get out early ahead of that process, get equipment submittals approved early in the process, and again, get those ordered and delivered to the site so they're ready for construction and don't delay the overall process. I'd say that's probably about 1/3 of what we expect as far as submittals go. We'll probably get about 150, 175 submittals throughout the whole process for the treatment plant. So we're working our way through those. Of note, where we ironed out the details on the PM10 dust plan, and that's going to be submitted to AQMD this week, as well as the SWIP. We expect the second draft of that to come back this week. And we've gotten an updated version of our permit to construct with AQMD. So all 3 of those are hurdles that we need to cross before we can break ground. And I'm happy to report that all 3 of those are moving forward and keeping us on track. We recently completed contracting with Yellow Jacket Drilling following the board's award for the 3 monitoring wells last month. We have a pre-construction meeting scheduled next week and expect to begin construction on those rather quickly. The goal there hasn't changed. We intend to get those 3 monitoring wells constructed in the next 3 to 6 months, and then begin recording background water quality data that will ultimately inform any potential impacts the new plant will have on the groundwater quality in the Garnet Hill sub area of the Indio subbasin. I continue to meet weekly with the State Water Resource Control Board regarding the SRF and grant agreement. They had requested some additional information from Mission Springs and asked for some refinements on the population and flow projections of the new plant. We've gotten all that taken care of and met with both staff and management level at the state board in an effort to get the final numbers in. And the state has told me, again, this is their words, not mine, but reporting it to you, is that we expect to have the final numbers for the grant amounts before the end of the month. So in essence, next week. So once we have that, that'll set us up to finish the final budget approval process. We've already submitted all the forms and documentation required to complete that process. And what that does, as soon as all that gets approved, we'll be able to reimburse for any construction costs. We're already eligible for reimbursement, to remind you, but this will give us the authorization to start drawing down on the grant and SRF for any project-related costs. Regarding the conveyance line that will feed the treatment plant, we began the easement process with Edison on Little Morongo Road, and Mission Springs received the 95% plans and specifications for plan check this week. So that project will be wrapped up pretty quickly here and go out to bid as well. If you recall, we're intentionally holding back that design and bidding to better time when that line is ready to be connected to the treatment plant once it's operational, or when it's ready to be operational. And then lastly, we completed contracting with AECom to do the repackaging of the Area M2 design. If you recall, that design's about 10 or 12 years old, so we brought the original engineer of record back on board to update those plans. We issued them an NTP, and they're going to be kicking off work tomorrow. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Okay, first I want to find out if there are any members of the public that want to weigh in on this item.
Mr. Betts, do you care to make public comment on this item? No response. Mr. Merritt, do you care to make public comment on this item?
No comment, just a good job done again.
Thank you, sir. No comment, Mr. President.
Okay, any members of the board have any comments on this item?
No, and I can't wait till next week, Stephen, you get the information.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation, and yeah, you answered all my questions, so I appreciate it.
Be ready for a groundbreaking.
Yeah.
None from me.
Randy, anything from you?
None from me, no.
Okay, Director Gracia?
No questions, thank you.
And Steve, nice short presentation. That was awesome.
Thank you, President Martin.
All right.
Steve, I get that all the time.
Yeah, there was a time when I thought you went to the School of Arden Wallum brief comments. But,
well, from what I gather, I'm doing shorter presentations than my predecessor, Mike Thornton. So that's all I can hope for.
All right. Item.
I like your presentation.
Yes, it was very good. Item 12, Critical Service Center and Administrative Building Update.
And I think the options here are essentially, if you'll give us, we can, I think basically we have like 3 different options at this point. You know, first of all, you can give us direction to proceed, you know, which is what we would like to. You can set up a workshop as early as next Tuesday if you want to, and we can go over this again if you want more time to think about the design that you want. And then we can wait till the next meeting too, I suppose. But we want to get these people moving because we really do need to get this facility moving along. So, and I understand that did you poll the board? Didn't poll them? Do you have a particular option that you would prefer that they proceed with?
No, I thought we were going to have maps that we could look at besides the ones we just saw the other day online.
Actually, we were able to secure the presentation and it was sent to you earlier this afternoon. So yes, I apologize about that. I was hoping to get to you sooner, but we did send that before our meeting, and there are the 3 options. All of the pictures that you see are similar to what you saw on Thursday. However, there is a new one there I noticed on the last one is what it would look like at sunset. So,
and one good part about the email that you sent over is all 3 options, they have them lined side by side. So
That's
each
what I wanted to
angle
look at.
has all 3 versions.
That's good.
So,
but if I had a preference, I wouldn't mind a workshop. I think a decision this big to have a round table and have us really get into the weeds on some things and see, really narrow it down. I have it narrowed down to 2 and I'm fine with either one, but I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are.
Yeah, I think a workshop would probably be appropriate considering. So
we will have Dory set that up. Usually Tuesdays, first Tuesday of every month is scheduled for a workshop if we need it.
Okay.
But if we can't, we'll reschedule and do it at a time when you can all meet.
Sounds good.
Well, you know, I'm a little surprised. It sounds like you're pushing to get started with something that you've not indicated at all how you're going to pay for. You bonded out or you borrowed up against the wall. You qualified to borrow another 10 cents with this wastewater plant, and now you're talking about something close to 20, maybe $25 million with this new building, and I don't know where's that money going to come from, and what conversations are taking place that I, as a board member, are not privy to, other than being cut off from district email because I refuse to participate in that scandal you've got created over there.
First of all, you can get your emails anytime you want, Steve. It's sitting on your iPad. Secondly, we can take up some of these questions at the workshop.
Yeah, okay. All right. Any other questions?
And thirdly, just so you can be prepared, we did budget this, so.
Yeah, I know, it's all by itself.
And again, I'll reiterate what the general manager just said, your emails, and all you have to do is pick up your iPad and all that information will be available. You've refused to do that. So that's on you. Moving, Director Duncan, do you have any comments?
No, the only thing I'm concerned about, I want it to be functional, comfortable, a nice work area, but still very conservative with our customers' money. That's my only wish.
Okay.
That was our direction to the architects. And I think, as you know, they've done a pretty good job of doing that.
So the budgeted amount is something like 6.5 million, and we're now at 15 million, and it's going to go way over that. So when you say it's a budgeted item, what are you referring to as being the budget?
Well, I can't get into the details.
Well, yes, you can. You're the director. It's your job to pay for this thing, and it's our job as a board to make sure you're not going off into the weeds. And right now, your car is flipping over
Excuse me,
upside
let's
down.
have that maybe at the workshop.
Yeah.
Go let our
Provide the details at the workshop.
detail at the workshop. How that's going to be paid for. Of course, it's going to be some kind of a loan or something like that. So the future people will pay for it, and not just our customers now have to pay for it. We spread over many, many years. That's the gist of it. So anyway, okay.
Proper way to finance it.
It is for the proper way to finance, so nobody has to pay for the whole thing, and everybody pays that uses it.
Okay, moving on to item 13, Assessment District and Mission Springs Water District website update.
Nothing new.
Nothing new?
You were
Okay.
given that presentation.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda, there's the item 14, the approval of minutes. Item 15, register of demands. Are there any changes or additions to either the minutes or the register of demands?
No changes.
Okay, with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Director Grasha,
Yes.
Director Sewell,
Yes.
Director Duncan,
Yes.
Vice President Wright,
Aye.
President Martin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, moving on to director's reports. Is there anybody other than myself that failed to
Me.
give it on Thursday? So we'll start with Vice President Wright.
Okay, first, and I'm going to do the ones that I did this month. I went to the E&E committee meeting for CVAG, and one thing that just wanted to let you guys know on that, there was a discussion item. They ended up, I thought it was just going to be a discussion item, but it ended up being a voting item, and it's the recommending a memorandum of understanding between CVAG and IID about their issues they've got with, they want to the people in the Coachella Valley who have IIDs, they're electric, they want some type of on their board, they want to be on their board. So we all know that's going on. The governor's talked about it and all that stuff. But anyway, so LAFCO, Riverside County LAFCO and Imperial Valley LAFCO are working on that issue. And there's some kind of report that they were asked to do about this issue. Some informational items is all type stuff that's, I guess, under LAFCO's authority. And so I abstained from that vote because I'm going to have to vote on that report through LAFCO. So I just abstained, which just means I was neutral. So I just want to tell you that because I'm voting for you guys, and it kind of took me by surprise in the middle of the meeting. So I kind of didn't know what to do. So I just abstained. So I'd let you know that. Okay, then the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission has different development and annual fees, a 5-year account report of all those fees, if anybody's interested. And also the Coachella Valley Conservation Commission, that same day I went to, just thought it's kind of interesting, is that they hired a lobbyist California for California. They authorized the executive director to execute a one-year contract with Pacific Policy Group for a not to exceed amount of $50,000 for state lobbying services to identify funding opportunities and implement legislative strategies related to regional habitat conservation efforts. They, I just thought, I don't know if you've heard of that company. They said that that lobby firm, nobody in the Valley uses them. I also have their proposal from the lobby firm, if anybody's interested in looking at it. Okay. The Urban Water Institute conference last week. I have a few things that it was very interesting. Day one was really good. I thought it was pretty excellent. Day two was a little slower, but that was just day one. Start on day one. They had one of the first panelists was a city view. Jennifer Perez was the mayor of Norwalk, and she told about their city water systems. These city views are cities that have water departments. So the city water system communication, her comments were communicate about your projects that you're doing, your water projects, rate studies, grants to the public. Communicate. That's what she was saying, that you need to make sure that your public knows about that. Then they had another one from Sierra Madre, the city manager from Sierra Madre. She said, she was saying stuff like keep elected officials informed about drought, groundwater levels, supply conditions, infrastructure needs, water rate studies. This one was kind of interesting. And they on their water bill, after their rate study, they put a $10 infrastructure fixed charge on the water bill, separate, and called it out so people know where it was going. So that's how they added their fixed, Arden, how we're talking about the fixed amount. They added as a separate line, not in the chart, what they call service charge line. And they actually say what it's for. This $10 fixed charge is for these projects. That might be something to look at. Okay, then the next presentation or panels was the future view. And there was a lady named Adriana Figueroa. She was the director of the Public Works Department of Paramount. She would be a good resource. Her presentation I thought was pretty excellent. It sounded like a presentation I used to hear at the Groundwater Guardian conferences about protecting groundwater. I swear I thought maybe she knew the Groundwater Foundation and had something to do with it, because I thought she did a very good job. She said replenishment is just one tool in the groundwater management box. So that's how that city looks at that. That's just one tool that they use.
Nicely put.
And then future view is the next one. Let me see, where am I at? I guess so. It was still there, drought and earthquakes. And one of the things that was brought up at that point was that unexpected and unplanned happenings that happened to water districts about their water supply through earthquakes, that kind of stuff, droughts, earthquakes. What they found out was their earthquake preparedness that they had in place when COVID hit really helped out a whole lot, because that was the preparedness that they needed on the unexpected COVID when it hit. And so, in other words, always be prepared and always have your supplies in hand. Let's see. The next topic was managing state water. Director of Water Resources, John Yarborough, who's the Assistant Deputy Director at DWR. He said that we need to think more long range, or DWR does, more long range than 3 years out, because that's what they usually use, is a 3-year out, like for a drought. He also said that described new technical monitoring and recording programs that DWR has got going on managing their state water. Okay, the next one is managing Colorado River water. Bill Hasenkamp, who's the manager of Colorado River Resources. He was saying that there's new realities and big decisions about the Colorado River Compact. Where is that going to go now? That was the compact that they put together about almost 100 years ago, I guess, on the compact on the Colorado River. Well, now that we've got this big drought and things are happening, they're really starting to look at that compact and maybe try to do something to help design it more so it would work during times like this, during droughts. Another thing that was brought up, I found this one very interesting. The Paradox Well program, it's a federal program. And what its job is for the feds to plan to help. This plan was to help stop salinity in the Colorado River. Enhanced Salinity Control Program is what it was called. There is a desal plant in Yuma, Arizona. I've toured it many years ago. That desal plant was I don't think it's ever been used.
That's not part of the paradox.
Well, according to them, it is. Anyway, they were talking about that, and they said that it needs fixing. It's never been on. It needs fixing. The whole program is shut down. It's been shut down for 6 years. So that's why the Colorado River probably is salinity levels rising a little bit. All those desalters they had on the Colorado River, they've had it shut down for 6 years. But the one in Yuma has never been running, but they're looking at now fixing that up and possibly starting to run it because of the salinity in the Colorado River. I wasn't sure, but I thought that might be helping us out if that works. Okay, Arizona mitigation plan. This is interesting. I thought that the state of Arizona, they do their own water system. They don't have water districts like we do. The state is the overview, takes care of all the water and gives everybody permission to use it. And they have 2 pools of water that they use. One pool is for everything but ag. And that is satisfied first. The need for that water is satisfied first before they give ag any water. That's how Arizona kind of, well, we're a lot different. Most of our farmers here have superior water rights. So it's like a completely different way that they do it. The next one's water infrastructure funding. This, let me see what I said here. Okay, what this guy said, Bob, I can't read my writing, CIMAC. He's the founder of Principal Consultants. He said that the state water contractors were formed to and designed to fund the state water project through rates and taxes. And the GSAs help fund water projects. I thought that was very interesting. State water contractors were formed to design and fund the state water project through rates and taxes. That is that.
Okay. Ivan, you have? Director Gracia, do you have anything you want to report?
Just to comment on the Yuma desalter that was built to bring the water that we were delivering down the river to Mexico and into a condition that would be potable. And after all that money was spent, the government decided that Mexico was not going to be able to participate. And they never did get those plants, that plant going for that purpose or for any other purpose. And there's no, it doesn't look like to me there's any plan anywhere to begin the project desalting water delivered to our aquifer. They just approved and then walked away from one up in I guess is it Eastern is getting ready to build one. I think they got a $50 million grant. But one of those agencies that got a $500 million grant decided not to do it because they couldn't afford to, even with $500 million. So this is all scary stuff when you measure it against the water that's being delivered to us, and apparently no negotiating on our behalf to.
Mr. Gracia, the purpose of this point of the meeting is for you to report on meetings you've attended.
Water, and if you want to, separate that from whatever it is you want to talk about, you're welcome.
No, what I'm saying is that you have a section called director's comments, and that's the appropriate time for you to address some things that you either disagree with or want to support. But this is a time where you report on the meetings that you attended. And did you attend any meetings that you want to report on? Yes or no?
Well, I attended several meetings of the Coachella Valley Water District online, of course, along with Desert Water Agency. I believe 2 of their workshops and 2 of their board meetings in the last month, and several others that allow me to have a full understanding of the issues that we're faced with here. And if other directors would focus on water issues and not rubbing elbows at the Chamber of Commerce, maybe we could make some headway on the very important subject of delivering clean, fresh, affordable water to our constituents, as opposed to just chasing buildings we can't afford and building sewer treatment plants that we don't need to be building.
And that's your opinion.
Yes, it has nothing to do with meetings you attended, but having said that, we're going to move on to Director Duncan. Do you have any?
Yes. Yes, I do. A few of them here. January 4th, Desert Water Agency, very quick meeting, but the real substance on that one was they voted, they passed 5-0. They adopted a groundwater sustainability plan for the San Gorgonio Pass Water District. And that was really all that was there. January 11th, CVWD gave an update on their COVID employees. Of course, they have over 500 employees there, so the numbers sound staggering, by themselves. They currently have 30 people who not necessarily have COVID, but at home, at work, whatever, have been in direct contact or exposure. Of their over 500 employees, 414 have received at least one of the vaccinations, not necessarily all 3 or what looks like it's going to be 4 pretty soon, but they've dropped the mandate because of the Supreme Court decision. They've dropped that mandate for employees to get shots or to at least seriously consider it. Desert Water Agency, January 18th. Again, another very quick meeting, nothing that concerned us. January 25th, CVWD. They are also working on election division boundaries. They've got maps, but they are redoing theirs, and theirs are big divisions. They got a lot of work to do on that. This really was a February meeting. I know we normally report on the prior month, but like Nancy said, with this Urban Water Institute, it's important to get this information out. She did a great job on the meeting itself. They did do a real good job this year on our neighbor, Arizona, on their structure, on their use, and they did a good presentation on the river itself, starting, clear up into Colorado or Utah or wherever, the tributaries start. They spent some time on Lake Mead, talking about what it's going to take to get that back to, to full again, if ever. But the part I want to touch on is the Board of Directors meeting, which was the morning before the conference itself. We do have a new Board of Directors, and I will find that in 1 second here.
Yeah, they named him at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, I thought I put that list in here. I'm sure I did, but I'm flying through this so fast. I may have to come back to it. But the important part, because of a couple of canceled conferences, they lost some deposits. They've lost quite a few sponsors. Urban Water Institute ended the year at a net loss, $23,000, just under $24,000, $23,592. However, we have a $200,000 little over $200,000 cash surplus account. That is a reserve account, which is just exactly what this is for. It's this purpose right here. And it is keeping the Urban Water Institute afloat. Nobody wants to, but it can maintain the same course we have for many years. Well, if this thing doesn't change. But the conference for February, they're hoping for a August 24, 25, 26 in San Diego. They've signed an agreement with the hotel down there again that just changed its name. It's no longer the Hilton. But they are also planning on 2023 Urban Water Institute Conference in Palm Springs, February 8, 9, and 10. And they're hoping both of those are mask-free. You know, take your precautions. We have to do that for a long time, but it'll be an in-person attended event. That's what we're all hoping for. And that covers January for me.
Thank you, Director Duncan. Last but not least, I'll give my report. January 6th, Desert Valley Builders Association Legislative Forum. Nothing to report there. On January 11th, Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting. The appointment of Supervisor Jeff Hewitt as the chair of the board and Supervisor Ken Jeffries as vice chair. They did a budget adjustment of $5 million for COVID relief. On January 20th, the Desert Valley Builders Association General Membership Luncheon presentation by the National Association of Home Builders. Desert Valley Builders Association used to be a member, but for some circumstance, they dropped out, and they are applying for to be a member of that organization again. The National Association of Home Builders is an association dedicated to lobbying for building industry, laws, policy, funding, and they are their home base is Washington, D.C. January 25th, the Riverside County Board of Supervisors meeting. Anti-vaxxers dominated the public comments. That went on for quite some time. New fire station was approved. They approved purchase of tactical equipment and new sheriff's department facility, including a cold case grant. There were a couple appeals of Planning Commission findings, which were denied. January 18th, City Council meeting. Marion Champion did an excellent comment on the water line break. Even received a positive comment from Councilman Betts. So Russ, thank you. They did a tour de Palm Springs briefing on that portion of the event in Desert Hot Springs. Resolution urging the state to consider cannabis cultivation tax reform. January 24th, Cabot's Museum Board meeting. Nothing to report there, and that concludes my report. General Manager's report, item 17.
Nothing new to add.
Okay.
Mr. Wallem, your mic, please.
Thank you, Dory. Nothing new to add
Okay.
today.
And we went over the thank you letter to Food Now. I got my copy finally. That was very, very nice that they, it was nice of us to participate in that. It's definitely a worthy cause. District Council comments.
Yes, we will have a closed session today, and it will be on conference with legal counsel regarding significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 and or 3, one potential case related to threat of litigation by Coachillan Holdings LLC.
Okay. Director's comments. Nancy.
No, not today, thanks.
Ivan.
I did want to just say, I saw in the general manager's report that work is continuing on our customer portal. And I know we have this upcoming workshop now for the building, But I would like to see a workshop for the board before the customer portal goes live, just so we kind of fully understand it and can share it with our ratepayers.
Maybe we can add it to the other one. You put them both if there's
Yeah,
enough time.
depending.
Well, we're not, yeah, there's a few things we need to get done. It's just working out
Oh, it's not ready yet.
issues between a couple of the
Okay, when it's ready. then.
consultants and when it's ready. We might be able to do it, but I don't think so.
All right.
Thank you.
Director Grusha, comments.
What the attorney just read sounded like a different reading than how it used to sound. I don't remember the threat of litigation as being part. Is there something added going on here that?
I guess you'll find out in a few minutes, won't you?
Well, because I asked for this to be brought into executive session on Thursday, and I was told today that that wouldn't happen. And I was going to address my comments at this time to that. And now suddenly we're going into executive session on something that sounds more serious than what we've been talking about in the past. And I wanted the board to be fully informed of information that we were provided with previously. And I'm wondering if the two of them are different now. If we have two different issues surrounding the same case, or is it?
We'll discuss it in closed session.
Okay.
Director Duncan.
Yes, this might take a minute, but bear with me here. I've done this in the past. I thought it was kind of over with, but I see this as kind of resumed again. One of our directors, Steve Grusha, went public on the internet with an article. I'd like to read it. The first paragraph is the part I want to come back to and address. Big capital letters. This is important. To help MSWD customers with past due balances related to the pandemic, MSWD, at my direction, applied for and received funds from the California Water and Wastewater Arrearage Payment Program to cover past due account balances accrued between March 4th, 2020 and June 15th, 2021. That's the BS section we're going to come back to. The rest of this looks like he just plagiarized and copied this from the general manager's report. I didn't compare the two side by side. I'll go quick on that. Under the drinking water portion of the program, MSWD has received more than 1.2 million, which has been applied to 9,166 water accounts earlier this month. In addition to this, we received $36,522 to help offset associated administrative costs. That is absolutely true. I believe those numbers are very close to true. After the water bill credit, some of our customers will still owe back payments depending on their water usage and payment history. To allow these customers time to bring their accounts current, MSWD will resume its SB 998 government governed shutoff procedure in April. In addition to that, we're not anxious to run out, shut anybody's water off if you're listening to this. I want to come back to the first paragraph. This is important. To help MSWD customers with past due balances related to the pandemic, MSWD at my discretion applied for and received funds, blah, blah, blah.
Direction.
Direction.
Pardon me? Oh, in my direction, yes. Applied for and received these funds. Let me take several steps back and then we'll take steps forward and show how this all came back together. As much as I like picking on him.
Hey, would you direct your comments specifically to the?
Yeah, these are my comments. I'll take several steps back and then we'll come back forward again. And like I started to say, as much as I enjoy picking on him and giving him a hard time, we have an awesome general manager. He doesn't sleep, he doesn't eat, he reads, he studies. He's 100 years old, he's still learning every single day. He reads nonstop. He doesn't take weekends, he barely takes a day off. We have an assistant general manager Brian, I believe, is following right behind Arden in his footsteps with the amount of dedication. Marion in our political affairs department, she is on top of all sorts of new, anything coming out of Sacramento. Arturo in our finance department jumped in with both feet. He's following any financial information he can get his hands on. We also have 2 lobbyists at our disposal, one in Sacramento, one in Washington, D.C. They are all in constant communication. They all report to Arden Wallem. Now, for the past, wild guess, 5 or 6 months, Arden has been giving us an update during the board meeting on how these funds are rolling out, when we might see them, how much money might be available, when we can start applying, when we can expect to see funds, how the funds have to be distributed. There's a lot of mechanics behind this. He gave us updates every board meeting on this for probably 6 months. Correct me if I'm wrong. At every one of those board meetings.
Do you have a question? I'll be happy to.
Entire board, at every one of those board meetings, the entire board said, absolutely, go for it. Find out what you can, get as much money as you can. Let's get it credited to our clients, our customer base. So if anybody's going to get decision or going to get credit, complimented for this set of funds, it's going to be our staff, because they're the ones that walked it through from beginning to end. The board as a whole supported our staff, encouraged them to go for it. So every one of our board directors said, fine, good job, pat on the back, do what you can. This was not one person's discovery. This was not some little gem that anybody found. The entire board supported our whole staff on this. And I want to commend our general manager and our whole staff, plus our lobbyists, for keeping the info coming on this. This is the most selfish, egotistical thing I've read in months.
Objection. It is.
And that concludes my comments. Thank you.
Okay. And with that, we will go into closed session.
Excuse me,
We'll take a 5-minute break.
my turn.
The board met on conference with legal counsel regarding significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D2 and/or 3, one potential case related to threat of litigation by Coachella Holdings LLC. There was no reportable action taken.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And with that, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.